Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Yes, that is the StorySLAM energy we're looking for. Hello and welcome. Welcome to the 14th Annual Montclair Film Festival. We love this one. The energy's just different, baby. Tonight's performance of StorySLAM. We do this once a month. Has anybody here ever been to one of our StorySLAMs? Ooh, a nice mix in the crowd. I dig it. Okay, cool. I'm Jennifer Cambris. I'm the Director of Production and Special Projects here at Montclair Film. I just had one of our amazing PAs. That's Julian back there. He's been killing it all week. And he just did me a favor. I did this last year, too. I wanted to know what number event this is compared to what we're doing over these past 10 days. So last Friday we opened. This Sunday, we will be closing. We're doing 138 events. This is number 86 of 138, so we have 52 left. So you guys are just part of the amazing film festival that we have here, and thank you for your support. The bar is open tonight. Feel free to go get some concessions while I'm making these announcements and during deliberation after the storytellers finish up. We typically do this, like I mentioned, on the last Thursday of each month, so if you loved it tonight, feel free to look on our website and check out our next couple of dates. Please join me in thanking our exclusive audio sponsor, Audible, our executive sponsor, the New Jersey State Council of the Arts, signature sponsors, the Ankler, Arnold and Porter, Craig Newmark Philanthropies, Montclair Mezzanine, the NJEDA, and NJ Motion Picture and Television Commission, presenting sponsors American Express, CoreWeave, Discover Jersey Arts, Experience Montclair, Hackensack Meridian Mountainside Medical Center, Hiker, Montclair Center Bid, NJPBS, New Jersey Division of Travel and Tourism, Porta, and United Airlines. I don't know how they do that for every movie. That's so intense. I know I don't usually have to do this announcement. Montclair Film is a nonprofit organization that relies on support from all of our sponsors, advertisers, and donors. Please take a moment to review the festival guide and visit our partner organizations who give so much back to our community. We want to thank our members. Is anybody here a Montclair Film member? Oh, guys, that makes me so happy. If you aren't already signed up, please consider joining us. In addition to discounts and early access during the festival, membership benefits are available at The Claridge, The Bellevue now, as well as our headquarters here at Montclair Film Cinema 505 and all our Montclair Film education programs. The membership perks also extend to things like our annual fundraisers, which benefit those education programs. For example, this year's fundraiser, I don't know if you heard about it, it's going to be in December at NJPAC. It's a conversation with Stephen Colbert and Conan O'Brien, and it sold out over 3,000 tickets in 2.5 days, and that was during the member period. It is the most successful fundraiser we have ever had. So all of that money goes directly back into our education programs, and it means so much to us. So if you're considering becoming a member, just keep that in mind. Don't miss out on any future programming, as we typically offer members early access. Lastly, I want to thank our team of incredible volunteers who make this festival possible. Give a hand to the volunteers. Woohoo! You can find out information about all of our events and so much more at montclairfilm.org. Be sure to sign up for our emails and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky to make sure you're the first to know about all our upcoming events. Please note your fire exits on your left and your right, and the restrooms are on your left and outside of the door. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you your host for this evening, Duncan Miller. He is our storytelling teacher and coach here at Montclair Film. Duncan is a former actor and improviser who has performed with the Second City and Improv Olympic in Chicago. He has performed in various theaters, short films, and festivals in New York City, Chicago, and Baltimore prior to earning his master's degree in education. Currently, he is a high school academic dean at North Star Academy in Newark, helping guide the next generation of storytellers. Please welcome Duncan Miller.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks, everybody. Welcome. Very excited to be your host for this evening, the 14th Montclair Film Festival. That makes this festival a teenager. And so the stories you're going to hear tonight will be much like teenagers. A little bit scary, probably a little smelly, and full of questions. We're excited to jump in. Obviously, we wouldn't be here tonight without your generosity, and of course, we're so excited for you to see the 10 stories that we've lined up for you tonight. And so we're really excited to bring these to you shortly. But we have to meet the people that are actually in charge first. In our second row here, we have 3 industry professionals. and community members, and they will be our judges for tonight's StorySLAM. And so we'll go through and meet each one of them and our storytellers. Listen up. There are 3 prizes for tonight. They all come with Montclair Film swag, and the top prize also gets a year membership to the Montclair Film programs and events. So, very exciting things on the line. Thank you. First up here in the center, we have Kevin Dreyfus. Let's give it up for Kevin. Kevin is the managing director and executive producer at Courier National Newsroom. He oversees a social video operation with nearly 5 million followers across TikTok, Instagram, Substack, and more, as well as a slate of award-winning long-form video shows on YouTube, Spotify, and podcast platforms. He's an Emmy, People's Choice, and Clio-winning producer from his time at AMC Networks, as well as writer and producer of truly disgusting horror movies. Credits include Knights of Badassdom, Cooper's Bar, and specials and digital episodes of Better Call Saul, Mad Men, and The Walking Dead. He spent last year running the video operations for Kamala Harris's presidential campaign. Kevin is a no apologies necessary. Thank you for trying. Kevin is a longtime Montclair native alongside his wife and 3 sons who have lived here long enough to see the Bellevue Theater burn down to the ground and finally be reopened. Hallelujah, he says. Let's welcome Kevin. On the end, we have Gloria Lamort. Let's give it up for Gloria. Gloria is a screenwriter, director, producer, and educator whose works have appeared on Netflix, Amazon, HBO, and Showtime. Her critically acclaimed film, Entre Nos, marked her debut as a feature director, writer, and editor. Gloria has produced a host of social impact videos addressing pressing worldwide issues, and these national campaigns have garnered millions of views, shining a light on immigration and prison reform, climate awareness, and youth mentorship. As an educator, she taught beginners and advanced screenwriting at CUNY's undergraduate program and here at Montclair Film. She presently heads the New York On-Camera Lab at the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, where she works one-on-one with professional actors as they prepare auditions, monologues, and self-tapes. Gloria continues to write screenplays as well as short-form live storytelling, her newfound interest. Welcome, Gloria. Our third and final judge on the end here is J.K. Let's welcome Jay. Jay is a filmmaker, interviewer, journalist, programmer, and longtime fan. He spent over a decade telling stories and covering horror globally with more than 2,300 guest interviews conducted on his acclaimed podcast, Horror Happens Radio. A staff writer, reviewer, and interviewer since 2016 for Horror Hound magazine, and also a range of other platforms. Jay has held roles for multiple global film festivals as assistant festival director, PR, moderator, judge, and more, including for the New Jersey-based Highlands Horror Film Fest. Screening his short film thriller, No Good Deed, at the 2022 Montclair Film Festival, and winning awards for his shorts and documentaries under his production company, A Strange Man in a Filmland Productions. Jay is the product of Montclair State University Film Program, and besides having the best damn shoes in the business, check him out, you gotta see him, he continues to create a range of content as well as teaching cinema studies, including the elements of filmmaking from revelation to script to screen. His teaching style reflects his storytelling philosophy to embrace the world around you through your story, no matter the frights. Welcome, Jay. All right, now that you know who's in charge, storytellers, listen up. The illustrious Jennifer in the front row will be your timekeeper. 6 minutes total for each story. She will show you a green card when you are halfway through the 3-minute mark. A yellow card tells you have 1 minute remaining. And the red card, wrap it up. We're not going to yank you off stage, but if you do see the red card, please try to find your conclusion as quickly as possible. The only other theme, storytellers, the only other rule is to be on theme. We're doing a mirror thing here. And we're excited to see horror, comedy, drama, all the things in between with our theme tonight, scary stories meant for the screen. We're looking for the paranormal. Get those hairs on the neck ready to raise up. Get your goosebumps ready to bump. We're getting ready to get started. All right, everybody, let's welcome our first storyteller to the stage. And storytellers, please get comfortable with the microphone. Place it right about 1 fist away from your chin. First up, a veteran storyteller from Montclair Film StorySLAM. This is Deb Weber. Come on up, Deb.
Nothing much scared me as a kid. I wasn't afraid of the dark. I openly welcomed the ghosts of my dead ancestors to come visit. They never did. And I had this feeling that my dolls and stuffed animals would come alive at night, not to hurt me, but to have a dance party. And I would lay awake, pretending to be asleep, one eye open, trying to catch them partying, which never happened. It only set me on my lifelong adventure with sleep disorder, but that's, anyway. A few things did bother me. There were some cartoon characters. Mickey Mouse, to this day, gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't know why. His voice, the Sorcerer's Apprentice, I don't know. And some from advertising. Does anyone remember the Michelin Tire Man? What? Like, who thought of that? My dad once got new tires on the car, and I literally ran outside to look under the car to make sure that creeper wasn't underneath. And then the Pillsbury Doughboy, not cute. Not at all cute. And nope, he's not. And his laugh, I think, is a little bit macabre. But anyway, I digress. We're fast forwarding to 1983. I'm mostly a functional adult. And I have now an established career as a wardrobe costume person for theater, TV, and film. And I found myself working as the wardrobe supervisor of a small movie you might have heard of called Ghostbusters. Yeah. So, the people where the actors were, they were a lovely bunch of coconuts, pretty much benign. But Annie Potts, on her first day of filming, walked to the set, stopped, looked at me, took my glasses, and said, "I found my character." And so now I'm left squinting, 1 foot in the grave because I can't see anything. And if you know the film, as Janine, she always wore the glasses on the end of her nose and looked over them because guess what? It was my prescription and she couldn't see either. So both of us were, visually impaired. Anyway, so the costume department and the prop department were way too busy to go get duplicates, so I was squinting until they were packed up and moving back to LA to do the interiors. And about the props department, they were in charge of creating and dispersing this paranormal ectoplasm known as the slime. And there would be filming and slime would get on the Ghostbusters uniforms and we would take Polaroids for continuity because no one had a digital camera, if you know, in those days. There were no phones, we only had Polaroids. And they also did not develop well in the cold. Did I mention that it was cold? We were filming night shoots only from the end of October until the beginning of January in New York City. So we had these blurry Polaroids, and the props department would give us a little bucket and a brush, and we would, recreate the slime from the day before because, it would dry on the uniforms. And lo and behold, I find out that I'm allergic to it. Yes, even with latex gloves, the splash zone above the gloves or up here, itchy, bumpy rash. So now I'm squinting and I'm scratching, and we go on as we do. So the other thing is, we did not know what the ghosts looked like. There was no CGI, there was no digital playback. Somewhere, somebody was making models and shooting those and, making storyboards. We never got to see them. So imagine my surprise when we get to a certain scene towards the end, and there's this giant 20-foot tall marshmallow who is a combination of two of my biggest fears, the Michelin Man and the Pillsbury Doughboy, looking just enough like them to not incur copyright infringement lawsuits, right? So there were 18 of those suits. They were $25,000 a piece. And they were made of foam, and inside the head there was fiberglass and foam, and the poor stuntman inside had to have a separate air supply because it was also toxic. Now, we were allowed to have a small additional group of costumers that night because there were to be 200 background actors walking down the street, and to keep the continuity, we were allowed to hire extra people. Did we know, or did anyone know? Did casting know that these people would have buckets full of shaving cream and foam rain down upon them from a flaming prop? No. They were told, dress nicely in an upscale manner, you're going to be walking along Central Park West all night. So we would hear the marshmallow would go up in flames, and we'd hear, clean them up, we're going again. And we'd grab towels, t-shirts, anything we could find to mop these people down. The hairdressers trying to get the shaving cream out of their hair. These actors screaming at us, screaming bloody murder about how they're gonna take us all to small claims court because their lovely outfits were now ruined. And so we would run and hide behind the cameras and, watch it again and go out all night long, all night long. And so behind the camera, I was sleep deprived, shivering, scratching, squinting, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, crying a lot. But somehow we all got through it. And I hear it was a hit. It turned out to be, everything turned out okay. And somehow a few years later, I don't know, just bad judgment on my part, I was working on a sequel. But that's a story for another day. So in the meantime, when you're, living through paranormal things or shooting a paranormal movie in subnormal temperatures and abnormal ways, be careful what you manifest, because someone will make a movie out of it. Thank you.
All right, let's keep it going for Deb Weber. We got you Ghostbusters for the first one. You like that? All right, I won't tell you what my childhood fears were, because then I've manifested it. All right, let's keep it going. Welcome up to the stage. This is a new storyteller to us. This is Aaron Drill. Come on up, Aaron.
A demonic presence, an old curse, a never-ending nightmare. These are all things my ex-boyfriends have called me, but I'm not here to talk about them. I am here as a cautionary tale. Yes, there are doors that you can open that can never be closed. I hope that you will learn from my grave mistakes and never have to suffer the fate that I have. Everything I am about to tell you is true, it really happened, and it is still happening to this day. My name is Aaron Drill, and I call this story What I Unleashed, or My Pizza Box Ouija Board Nightmare. Be warned, there will be mention of the devil. May he spare you all. Picture it. It's 2008. I'm 12 years old, growing up right here in Montclair, New Jersey. And I had the picture-perfect childhood, some might say. And in most ways, it was. I mean, I was more likely to be found grinding at the Glenfield Middle School luau to Flow by Flo Rida and T-Pain than I was to be working on my Haftorah. But who needs God anyway? My life was good. Cut two. One night, my best friend Spinner came over for a sleepover, as he often did on Saturday nights. We had our Mr. Dino's pizza, and we're watching horror movies in the basement. And my parents, were upstairs in their room. Everything was ordinary. Do you like scary movies? Don't do that shit. Spinner loved to freak me out, and he was good at it. Then an idea popped into his head. I know what we should do tonight. Okay, I'm down for whatevs. I mean, how crazy could this be? My brother taught me how to make a Ouija board, and we contacted the beyond. You're a liar. No, it's real. And I can make one now. I bet there's a ton of spirits in your house. I'll admit it. I was curious, as many dead cats have been. But you know what? What's the worst that could happen? It'll be nothing, or it'll be a cool story to tell. How naive I was. So he got the pizza box, cut it up, got a Sharpie, and before you know it, we're surrounded by candles, and I'm face to face with my first Ouija board. My first Ouija board. I mean, it did have some coagulated cheese on it, but we were doing this. This was real, So we put our fingers on the planchette, The devil's gonna get you. Don't do that shit. All right, we began. Is anyone here right now? You're moving it. No, I'm literally not. Yes. What's your name? SCHRADE? Charade? What's that? I think it's like a kind of knife. Did someone kill you with a charade? No. Did you kill someone with a charade? Yes. Okay, I don't want to do this anymore. No, it's just getting good, but it's just really scared. How much did they bleed? What, did they deserve it? What did you do to them? Phew, the lights go out. Ah! Did you just bite me? Don't do that shit. I didn't bite you. Well, something did. And my dad came barreling down the stairs. What are you guys screaming about? Go to bed. I'm fine. I don't want to do this anymore. We listened. But I don't know if any of you are familiar with Ouija boards, and if you're not, that's actually a green flag. But yeah. But if you are, you might notice that we made a big mistake. We didn't say goodbye. I know, I'm tucked up, I'm closing my eyes trying to go to sleep, and I feel a presence over me, and I open my eyes. It's Spinner, smiling wide. Spinner, what have I been telling you this whole night? Spinner's gone fishing. Okay, that's not funny. I'll be laughing when the devil drags you low, 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 low. Sorry, I had a weird dream. And my time is up. Not with the demon, with my story, but I will leave you with this. If Shawty got them apple-bottom jeans and boots with the fur, the devil's already got her. Stay away. Thank you. Good night.
All right. Let's keep it going. Aaron, nice job. I want to ask where Spinner is now. All right, you'll come back and share that with us. All right, thank you, Aaron. Let's keep it rolling. Our next storyteller up has done one with us before. Welcome back to Jeff Ryan. Come on down, Jeff.
So this is the 86th event at the Montclair Film Festival this year. 86 means to kill something. The first time my staircase tried to kill me was the day I brought my daughter home from the hospital. It was midnight. We had just had it carpeted to be baby safe, and I was holding her. I was bringing her downstairs in order to either warm up breast milk or a bottle, and my foot slipped. And I could have gone forward into the window on the second landing, but I didn't. I fell backwards, some sort of survival protection instinct, and I landed on my torso, and I held up Doodle, and I said, "Take Doodle," and my wife went in, and she took Doodle, and Doodle was crying. But, so now it's 2 months later, and Doodle is sleeping in her little bouncy thingy, and I'm watching a movie. I'm waiting for her to wake up so I can give her a diaper change. And it's a movie on basic cable, so it's edited. They've cut all the scary, gross stuff out, but it's still a scary movie. But I feel like, well, since it's like a PG-13, it should be okay, even though she's asleep in the room. You know, it just seems weird to have the baby in the room for something too bad. So the baby wakes up, and I go to get her, but I realize the movie has kind of infected me. I was watching a Final Destination movie. I don't know if anyone has watched a Final Destination movie. The idea is people were in some sort of terrible accident, but then they survive it, but death is out to get them. Death is setting up death traps all around the world. It's just a series of Rube Goldberg devices. Any room you go into a Home Depot, you die. You go into a pool supply store, you die. You go into a tanning bed salon, you get locked in the tanning bed salon, you get cooked to death. So that was what was in my head. I have a history of overthinking these sorts of things. When I found out that my wife is pregnant, we were going to have a baby, I had a sore throat. I thought it was cancer. It was not cancer. It was a sore throat that went away in 2 days. But for a couple of weeks, I truly thought, this is it. This is the end. So I was also writing horror stories at that time. Horror stories about people coming to very unfortunate ends due to tragic accidents. I wrote like 500 of them. I was good at finding out all of the awful ways things could happen to people. So now I'm holding Doodle and I need to get up the staircase. The first thing is I'm standing on carpet. Carpet, as you know, you can pull out from under, you can fall, you can slip, you can break your neck, you can die. I survived the carpet. Not today, death. Then I need to go around a coffee table. Now the coffee table, we baby-proof, so we're okay with that. But underneath the baby-proofing is a round coffee table with no edges. But death will find a way. But I'm too smart. I move around. Not today, death. Then there's a bookcase. There's a movie called Howard's End based on a book. It's a horror story about a guy who gets killed by a bookcase. There's some other stuff in it too, but mostly it's about a guy who gets killed by a bookcase. Not today, death. I avoid the bookcase and I don't die from the bookcase. Then I need to get to the first landing. So 3 steps up. Okay, 1, 2, 3, made it. Doodle and I are okay. But we foolishly put pictures of our family up on the landing. You know what those pictures are covered by? Glass. Glass, stabby. And then it's all covered in wood. Like the end of every vampire movie, spoiler alert, wood kills them. And it's all held up by like little tiny nails that can be very lethal. But not today, death, I avoid that. Okay, now the main part of the staircase. There was supposed to be a banister there. But there's not a banister because we took the banister off to move the changing table up, and we never put the banister back. You see how death is working? You see how it's going to happen? You don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen some way. But I make it all the way up without falling over, without needing to grab the banister. Then we finally get to the second landing, and up next to the landing is the window. This window, we baby-proofed as well. We made sure it had pebbled glass in it, so if someone broke it, it wouldn't shatter into pieces that could stab at you. It would turn into these little pebbles. But if you fall down and break your neck and your mouth is stuck open, these pebbles can go into your mouth. You could choke to death on the very thing that was supposed to save you. But I avoid that. Not today, death. Then I get to the baby gate. Now, everyone trying to figure out how's the baby gate going to come into play. The baby gate is open. The baby gate does not come into play. Whew. So now I'm finally at the very, very top of the staircase, and I walk into Doodle's room, and there's her changing table, and I put her down. And there's a twist in the story coming up. The twist is not that the diaper was the really scary part of it. It's just a baby, it's just a diaper, it's no big deal. The twist is that Doodle is now a teenager. And if Doodle was here, she would have been embarrassed to death to hear that story. But not today, death. She stayed home. Thank you.
All right, keep it going for Jeff Ryan. When I was 6, I went to a haunted house, and I lost my last tooth. And it was a gravel driveway, but with lots of different color stones. And a lot of them were white. I left that tooth behind at the horror house. Thank you for reminding me of that memory. Appreciate it. All right, let's keep it going. Our next storyteller coming up is Julia Francis. Come on up, Julia.
All right, so if you are from Montclair or have been living here for a long time, you probably remember the Montclair Times, right? I have the paper delivered home for I don't know how many years. one of my favorite parts, and please, I'm not a morbid person, was the obituaries. I like to read the obituaries because, and you know so many people in town, even if it's just for going to church or different places. And, I like to do that, because I wanted to be able to maybe say a goodbye one way or another to the person. So as I'm reading the paper, what I'm telling you happened for real, maybe around 10 years ago. So I'm reading the paper and I'm finding out that a guy that I used to work with, and a teacher, he was in fact the head of the union in the high school. I think he was probably in his late 40s. And I couldn't believe it that he passed. And it was very sad. So I'm like, okay, I have to go to the funeral. The service was, the guy wasn't from Montclair, but I don't know the connection. The thing is that the service was in Immaculate Conception in North Fullerton, which, perfect, I live very close, I don't have to drive, I can just walk. So I'm gonna, present my, my goodbyes to him. So the day comes, like I say, I dress properly, my black coat, black dress. I walk, there was snow, have to be careful, I did. So I get to the church, and the service was already on, right? The church was packed, like Easter Day. It was packed. But I am looking, I don't see a single person that I recognize. And I'm like, what is going on here? And I keep on looking, I don't see anyone. And I'm listening the eulogy, and now they are talking about Mary. All right, so all of the things now are going through my mind. And there, I don't know what to do with myself. And I'm like, it must be my English. Maybe I am not understanding this well. Happens when English is your second language. Sometimes you don't get things. And I keep on saying that. They keep on talking. And I'm like, maybe he was gay, and now he decided to come out, and just rebel himself as Mary. So I just keep on all of these things, all of these, the whys, the how come, I might be a little nuts. So suddenly I see one of my ex-coworkers who retired the year that I left the school, and I'm like, okay, now there is a coworker here. And he is like, next to me, but we are not talking. And I keep on listening, and I keep on going nuts. So now there is a third coworker that also comes. And I'm like, all right, so let's see if we can talk, because I really don't know what to do. I don't know, I don't want to be rude. I don't recognize anybody. And I'm just going crazy. So now the third coworker, well, I'm the first coworker. The third coworker, the second person, right? So I see her talking to someone, and 2 or 3 minutes after, she left the church. And I'm like, okay, maybe I can do the same. I really felt like, I don't know, like I didn't want to insult anybody by, leaving. So finally, my other coworker also leaves the church. And I'm like, okay, what are you going to do, Julia? Are you going to stay here? I mean, what is going on? I really don't know what's going on, So I finally decide that I was going to also leave. So I do that. And by the way, the person who passed apparently was an amazing human being. So, which I was also kind of like, please listen in the story about her life and everything. So part of me I want to leave, part of me I didn't want to leave. So finally I decided that I better leave, and my coworker was still outside, and so he was confused as I was. So he couldn't really tell me what was going on. But then another person comes outside, and so, again, I don't know, you have ever have a moment that you feel like, are you stupid or what? Right? Because you are going through all of these things, and now you want to know what was the problem. But the problem was that the newspaper made a mistake. So it was a funeral for a woman, Mary, which I always felt like I wish I would have known her in life. And the funeral of my coworker was 2 weeks, the following week. So again, the newspaper made a mistake. And that was the last thing in my mind, that I thought, but that's what happened. So.
All right, keep it going for Julia Francis. I wish she would at least stayed for the reception. If you're going to crash a funeral, get the snacks. Thank you, Julia. That was great. Next time. This is a profession now, professional crasher. All right, we're almost halfway there. Our fifth storyteller tonight is coming up. This is Farah Abdur-Rahman. Welcome up, Farah.
I've never done this before, so please forgive me. Thank you. Yeah. The name of the story is After 6 in Dover. It started off as a carefree day. New Jersey Transit was offering free rides for the holiday. So my dog Gidget, a 6-pound Chihuahua, and I took the train from East Orange to Dover just for a change of scenery. I packed some water, a few Kind bars, and my foldable cane. Gidget rode tucked against me in her carrier sling. It was a tight fit, but as soon as we got off the train, she'd be able to stretch her legs and walk free. In Dover, the sun was shining. People smiled as we passed, and everything had that small town quiet city folk mistake for charm. But there was something. But there was something too neat about it. Every face I saw was white. Every shopkeeper, every jogger, every kid on a bike, all white, and all watching just a little too closely. I told myself, stay calm, get home before dark. A Black person knows better than to linger in a place like this after sunset. Not in ways people talk about, but in ways my ancestors remember. Sundown town. You know. You know. I made it back to the train early, or so I thought. Standing on that empty platform at 5:45, I realized I'd read the schedule wrong. Holiday hours. The last train had already left. Okay. No big deal. I wandered off the platform to find somewhere to sit and gather my thoughts. Maybe a cafe was open. By 6, however, Dover changed. Shops closed, Main Street emptied, lights flicked off like synchronized clockwork. I wasn't just alone, I was abandoned. Should I call an Uber? Maybe Albert. Jelani? The cops? Yeah, maybe I'll just wait at the police station. I headed for the police station. The streets were eerily pristine and blindingly white, like snow under fluorescent lights, every house identical. Every lawn perfectly trimmed with precision, and not a single person in sight. And the silence, unnervingly quiet, and thick like cotton stuffed in your ears. I felt like we were being watched from behind tightly closed window blinds. Tired from the long day, I unfolded my cane. It clinked on the pavement with steady cadence. Clink, clink. Each tap echoed too loud in the empty street. Then, Gidget let out a low growl. She's 13 years old. She never growls unless something's really, really wrong. Her hackles rose. That small sound put a cold knot in my gut. That's when I heard it, another sound, not in sync with my cane, heavy footsteps and breathing, too slow, too deep, that didn't belong to a human. I pulled Gidget's leash tight and picked up the pace. Blinds shifted and eyes peered through like coin slots. Then we ran. The woods at the edge of the town were the only place without windows, so I headed for them. But I couldn't move fast enough, not with my cane in one hand and the leash in the other. It caught up to us, a humanoid, the color of old bones, bone shade. I let go of Gidget's leash and swung my cane like a kung fu movie extra. Crack! Right across its face. It stumbled back, shocked. It didn't expect a fight. I lost my balance and fell backwards. Then Bone Shade turned towards Gidget as she bolted away. No, no. I scrambled to my feet. I clinked my Crocs into sport mode. Grabbed my cane and charged, but Bone Shade was faster. It grabbed Gidget by the leg. My heart dropped at her yelp. Not my baby. Then she stopped whimpering, and something impossible happened. She twisted her tiny body, contorting and transforming, bones popping, fur bristling. And suddenly, my 6-pound chihuahua was a massive beast. In a flash of teeth and fur, she sank her jaws into Bone Shade's throat. Its eyes went wide, not just from pain, but from surprise, as if realizing something it had never known. Predators don't always look like what you expect. Bone Shade hadn't accounted for the tiny terror at my heels. Before I could process it, the people of Dover, the ones behind the blinds, spilled out like a slow tide. White faces, blank smiles, hands ready to swarm. They descended like minions, all of them. Gidget moved like a tank. She tore at them, ferocious and impossibly large, and I used my cane like a baton, cracking skulls, adrenaline making my voice rough, yelling, "This my town now, bitch!" When the last one fell, the street went quiet again, just me and my girl, breathing hard under a flickering street light. I scooped her up, kissed her head, and said, "Next time New Jersey Transit offers a free train trip, I'm taking my black ass to Montclair."
Yeah, keep it going for 5. And keep it going for Gidget. Wow. And I've been sleeping on Crocs. I didn't know they had a sport mode. Wow. All right. They don't have my size. It's true. All right, let's keep it going. Let's welcome to the stage Tom Coughlin. Come on up, Tom.
Hello, hello. Okay, so when on Halloween in 1995, I was 16 years old. Me and my friends were thinking what to do because they were 17, so we didn't think like it was appropriate for people our age to go trick or treating. So our friend Alyssa suggested to go to the abandoned sanitarium in Cedar Grove called Overlook. So we said we're gonna go there like 10 o'clock at night, you know, all dark and spooky. So we got there around 10:20, and like 3 cars we took. We parked in the back of the hill on a like abandoned baseball field, and we walked up the hill. It took us a couple minutes to get up the hill. Once we got up there, it was like really chilly and creepy, dark, because we were in dark, of course, late at night. And it was like partly cloudy out, all bats flying in the sky, overgrown weeds and grass, and overgrown trees, ivy growing on all the buildings. So we went inside the building, and we brought one flashlight, which wasn't really a smart idea for 15 teenagers to do. So, but you know, we just held on and kept walking, and we were walking, and we saw a door that said in handwriting, "Do not enter." So, of course, us being teenagers, we opened the door. And our friend Joe opened the door. He took one step, and our friend Frank pulled him back because there was nothing there. There was no floor or anything, so he would have fell down to the ground, even though down through the dirt. And so he pulled him back, and we kept on walking. Like we went upstairs to the second floor, and me trying to be funny, I made scary sounds and strange voices, and they all knew it was me. So, I just stopped doing that. So it was all like moldy upstairs and dirt, and papers and garbage everywhere, shattered glass. We tried to be careful so we don't fall. And after a while, we just heard Halloween music going on. So we booked out of the building, and it started downpouring. And so all my friends were ahead of me, and they were running down the hill, and I was running. I tripped, and I fell, went sliding down the hill, and I took all my friends with me. So, it might have been helpful because they could get down faster that way. So once we got to the bottom of the hill, people who had a car, jumped in their cars, took off, and all my other friends and I, just scattered in all different directions, and we just, were so scared. And since then, I've been out going up a couple times until recently. They knocked down all the buildings and built condos and a park walkway on the grounds, and now all you have are memories. That if you ever been up there, you have memories, and that's all.
All right, keep it going for Tom Coughlin. Does anybody live in those apartments? I know a movie you should watch. All right, thanks, Tom. We're going to keep it rolling. Let's welcome to the stage Victoria Gallucci. Come on up, Victoria.
Hi, everybody. This story should be called The Reluctant Psychic. It all started with my taking a past life regression workshop at the yoga studio near my apartment in Brooklyn. I joined 7 people in a circle. We lay down on mats, and the instructor started a guided meditation to take us into our past lives. I immediately left my body and began flying through darkness until I ended up in this pastel pink room. It looked like a spa. And there were a fair amount of people in this room, but they were all shrouded in gray. I said to myself, I guess I owned a spa in my past life. Cool. Then a man walked over to me, and he held up his hands, like he was gonna do me a slap me 5. So I raised my hands, because I was going in for that slap, and that's when he zapped the palms of my hands with an electrical current. And then he said, now go back. And the next thing I knew, I was back on my mat in the yoga studio, and the teacher was asking us to sit up and share our stories. When it was my turn, I said, I owned a spa in a past life, but I also had an out-of-body experience to get there. And the teacher looked at me really weird. And she said, why don't you stick around after the workshop? I want to talk to you. I think I screwed up my past life experience. I failed the class or something. So the workshop ends, and I stick around, and I tell her the story. And she says, hold up your hands. And she went to touch them, and she got shocked. Yeah, it gets more interesting. So she looked at me, and she said, I don't think you had a past life experience. I think you had an out-of-body journey. And I'm not sure where you went, but you came back with charged palms. What? let's try something. She took a ring off her finger and she placed it in my palm and she closed my hand and she said, take a couple of minutes and just let me know if any thoughts come to you, any feelings come to you. I didn't need a couple of minutes. This ring that I was holding was bought by a lover of hers when they were in Paris together. He had passed away and she's still wearing the ring in his memory. And I just blurted all this out to her and she said, whoa. Yeah, you nailed it. So she said, I don't know why this happened to you, but you now have a gift called sarcometry. You can read jewelry. And I can only suggest that you use this gift wisely. And then she told me it was time to close the yoga shop. So for the next year of my life, this gift was all-consuming. I couldn't walk into a party, a bar, or take a subway train without seeing a strong glow come off people's watches, necklaces, rings. It was fun for a while, and then eventually I found it exhausting. I was picking up all kinds of information about broken hearts, bad business deals, health problems. I didn't want to know this stuff about total strangers. It was way too much, and I never asked for this gift in the first place. So when I decided to move from Brooklyn to Montclair, like everybody does, I left this gift behind. About 8 years later, I decided to go into private practice as a home health care aide for people who were terminally ill. My focus was on helping people who were dying die as comfortably as possible. I had all the medical training I needed, but I wanted to add a healing modality to my work, so I took a Reiki class. The class was just me and one other woman and the teacher. And when it was my turn to practice on my classmate, I hovered my hands over her ankles and I shocked her. And I looked up at her head to say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, are you okay? And I saw 3 people standing behind the head of the massage table, 3 spirits. So I took my hands off of her immediately, and I looked at my teacher and I said, I see dead people. And the woman on the table sat up and said, tell me who they are, describe them to me. So I described them to her, and turns out that it was her father, her brother, and her uncle, all of whom had died in a car accident a year before. She was elated to find out that they were with her in spirit, and I was happy for her, but I'm seeing dead people. So the teacher asks me to stay after class so we can talk about it. Fuck, I'm failing Reiki. So I sit down with her and I tell her about the sarcometry, the jewelry reading and the pink room, and she says, well, now you have another gift. And this kind of gift can bring great comfort and reassurance to people who are dying. Use it wisely. Since that class, I have used Reiki only a handful of times for people who are dying. And I grew to understand that beyond the intensity of this weird ability, I was providing comfort to people who were leaving because I could see the loved ones that they could see. The last time I used Reiki on a dying person was actually 4 years ago yesterday when my best friend succumbed to cancer. As I sat with her on her deathbed, I saw her deceased parents enter the room and stand by her. They had come to take her home. And in that moment, I was the one receiving the comfort and the reassurance that I needed to say goodbye to my best friend and let her go. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. Let's keep it going for the healers. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Let's take a breath together, huh? Whew. I usually tell everybody to go meet a storyteller that moved you after the show, but just no high fives with Victoria, please. At your own risk. All right, let's keep it going. We got just 3 more stories for you tonight. Let's welcome to the stage Bob Sinecki. Come on up, Bob.
Before I get into the really hair-raising part of this story, I have to give you a little backstory. I grew up in a quiet suburb of Pittsburgh, PA. Oh, yes, okay. Catholic, Italian, sheltered, extremely well-fed. My friend and I shared the same background, interests, and some genetic challenges. The downside, our beards and eyebrows were thick enough in 6th grade that we needed waxing and shaves. The upside, we looked a lot older than we actually were, so we could wangle our way into those recommended for mature audiences movies. The ultimate challenge, the forbidden ticket, was Psycho. But our thug-like 5 o'clock shadows got us right past the ticket booth without a snag. We stretched out in those plush red velvet seats, exhaled, and were soon spying on Janet Leigh, wearing that white nose cone bra and a steamy hotel tryst with John Gavin. Va va voom. Life as a member of that age-restricted audience was very, very sweet. But then, as all of you know, that plot suddenly went for a crash landing and turned into that nerve-rattling mummy moment. This electrocuted us, right up to our nipples. Simultaneously, our 6th grade beards evaporated, and we were little boys again. And at that moment, we looked something like this. But I love the thrill. My high school curriculum included films like Straight Jacket, Village of the Damned, Rosemary's Baby. I gobbled them all up, just as those zombies slurped human guts like spaghetti in Night of the Living Dead, which was filmed in my hometown, I'm very proud to say. My course of study somehow led me to Georgetown. Anyone ever been there? Well, if you have, it's on top of a very high hill in the city. That's why it's called the Hilltop. The streets there are very steep. The walk from the campus down to M Street, the hub of all the nightlife, is even steeper. The shortcut, a treacherous stone stairway built in 1890 that pitched at such an obscene angle, anyone over the age of 21 needed oxygen and bungee cords to scale it. But as students, we went rogue, often having more than a few beers before we descended the 75 steps. The quest to the bottom ended with the Holy Grail, a seedy establishment that catered to minors and was nobly called Dixie Liquors. You get the picture? Neither wind, nor rain, nor storm could stop our valiant efforts to go to Dixie. Oh, we might roughhouse a bit and stumble a little on those steps, usually around step 29, or we might slip a little because we had a little too much to drink, usually at the very top. But we always lubricated ourselves so well so we never felt the occasional bump or bruise. Honestly, what could have even happened on those steps? Well, we soon found out, because about that time a book surfaced. It was classified as fiction, but was the result of secrets that swirled around campus for years about possessed souls and evil spirits and Satan. Central to the plot line was my theology professor, Father King, who stretched his syllables a little too much, kind of like Bela Lugosi. For example, Jean-Paul Sartre's work called Nausea became nausea when Father King said it. Very creepy. He also seemed to be a little too familiar with all this exorcism business that everyone was suddenly fascinated with. He was even rumored to have inspired the role of Father Karras, the priest that falls to his death in the film. Well, the book was soon optioned, turned into a motion picture. Filming began on campus. There were many bumps in the road. 9 deaths were reported. Several cast and crew members were injured. A carpenter lost his thumb. An electrician lost his foot. A fire destroyed most of the scenery, and the only room left standing was the bedroom where the exorcist took place. Because of this, the director asked Father King to visit the set to perform an exorcism. He declined. Instead, he went every remaining day of shooting to bless the set, and the mishaps continued. Could they have been planned? Linda Blair, the actress playing the possessed child, fractured her back during her convulsion scene when the harness she was in went wildly out of control for some reason. "Please make it stop," she begged. "It hurts, it burns." That's the take that ended up in the movie. And when the film was released, it scared the living shit out of me. Remember that feeling I described at the beginning of this spot about electrocuted nipples? History repeated itself that night I saw The Exorcist. The priest's body cracking as it hit and slammed on each of those 75 steps. Bam, 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 over and over and over again. He was going down, but he wasn't headed for Dixie Liquors. So 50 years later, what really was lurking around that set? We don't really know. Why were there so many accidents? Was Father King more involved in any of this than we ever knew? The questions linger, the mystery endures. If you care to take a part in a Georgetown tradition, you can go to an outdoor screening of The Exorcist next Friday. It happens on the hilltop every foggy Halloween night. Why not drop by? But be careful, and be sure to watch your step.
All right, keep it going for Bob Sinecki. I too felt nipply when I saw The Exorcist. Except I saw it when I was in 3rd grade at a sleepover. I literally slept with my hands on my chest like this for at least 5 years because I thought this would stop the devil from coming inside. It didn't work. Thanks, Bob. That was excellent. All right, let's keep it going. We have 2 more storytellers. This is Kate Nichols. Come on up, Kate.
Greyfriars Kirkyard. Anyone ever been? It's a cemetery in Edinburgh, Scotland. In 2018, I found myself walking through this cemetery in the middle of the day as I was seeking a moment of peace. I was in Scotland for the International Fringe Festival, which is a yearly festival of the arts, features theater, music, and comedy. That's what I was there for. I was co-producing a comedy show with some of my comedian pals. It was a stand-up and variety showcase called Escaping Trump's America. We didn't think we'd have a chance to reprise it, and yet here we are. But in 2018, I was having the time of my life at this festival, but I was also exhausted. It's exhilarating. It's a month-long festival, and we're producing shows every single day while also booking spots on other people's shows, but it really gets to you. The energy is electric. You can feel it in the air. There are people from all over the world sharing their passion, sharing their art, sharing their craft. But halfway through the festival, I was just burnt out. So in my time of need for a moment of peace, I escaped into the kirkyard, the cemetery, which was oddly quiet and peaceful, actually, despite the fact that it was in the middle of the city. In 2018, I was at the festival and I was not scared of the cemetery that I was wandering around in the middle of the day. I was afraid of what laid waiting for me when I got home. I had abruptly left my career, my job as a crisis counselor social worker for an employee assistance program in New York City after finding out that I could not acquire my clinical hours I needed to pursue and advance in my career there. So I had abruptly left, knowing that I would be coming back from the festival without a day job was pretty scary. I had been concurrently pursuing careers in mental health and comedy because to me, I felt like they were very much the same thing, just people trying to make sense out of their experiences in the world. I was mulling all this over, wandering around the cemetery, and it's quite beautiful there. They have a tradition where they don't disturb the tombstones, the graves. If they fall over, they leave them, and they let nature kind of run its course and take them over. This is an ancient cemetery as well, so everyone there is deceased in the 16 and 1700s. I'm walking around taking in the beauty, and then I spot this giant, beautiful butterfly bush, deep purple flowers. And I started to cry because this butterfly bush reminded me of the ones my mom planted outside of our childhood home. My mom had passed unexpectedly 3 years earlier, and I didn't have a graveyard I could go to visit her. She was cremated, and we had her remains on a mantle in the family home. I tried scattering her ashes in some of her favorite places, but nothing felt the same where I could connect with her, and here I felt her connecting with me. At this exact moment, I started laughing too because I'm crying at this butterfly bush, wondering, what are the other tourists milling about in this graveyard thinking? You know, like the last person to have died here passed in 1772. I couldn't possibly be mourning them. Like, do they think I'm a ghost? But no, I feel my phone buzz and I go to pick it up and I get a text message from a boy. A boy I'd been talking to as a friend had texted me. And this boy had expressed his interest in me earlier in the year, but I had politely declined his advance. I actually can pull up that message for you now because it's quite unique. He said, "Hey, forgive me if this is a bit forward, but would you like to get dinner with me sometime? I just think you're a lovely young woman. I'm fascinated by what you do and would relish the opportunity to get to know you better." So cute, right? So corny. I can pull that message up immediately because it is the only instance of the word relish in any of my messages. So I politely declined, letting him know I was very busy with my comedy career and my mental health career. Fast forward to 2018 in the Kirkyard. I get a text message from him, and unfortunately I can't pull that one up. I really went through 4,000 screenshots trying to find it, but he said something that was so clever and so smart. He's a carpenter. He had posted a picture of something he worked on, and someone had criticized it, and he snapped back with something like, "Don't throw 4 locos if you live in a glass trailer." I don't know. But I was just struck by how witty and silly and clever and handsome he was. And in front of this butterfly bush, I felt my mom's spirit telling me it was okay to soften my heart a little bit and to open up. And I mean, because of the unemployment of it all, I was going to have a lot more time when I got home. So while my future still looked pretty uncertain and pretty scary, I did start to feel just a little bit less alone. Thank you.
All right, keep it going for Kate Nichols. I don't have any quips about graveyards. Sorry about that. But we do have a fantastic storyteller to close out the evening. Let's welcome up our last storyteller tonight. This is Paul Body. Come on up, Paul.
I was the director of the Bogota Recreation Day Camp. In 1989, I decide that this season we're going to have maximum gusto. So I create a legend. The legend is surrounding the legend, the legend surrounds a stone under a tree that is one of the memorial trees in Olson Park. The stone has the inscription, L.C. Beetlestone. So on the first day of camp, I tell the campers that 10 years ago, L.C. Beetlestone had murdered 34 and a half children. Beetlestone had been captured, convicted, and executed. His crimes were so horrendous that no cemetery in the tri-state area would admit his body. Bogota at that time had a very liberal mayor and council. They agreed to make a place for Beetlestone's body in Olson Park. On the second day of camp, I read the campers a letter. It started, "Dear campers / future victims." And it ended, "Yours hatefully, L.C. Beetlestone." A couple hours later, a contingent of campers asked me, how is it possible that Beetlestone, who was dead, wrote us this letter? And I said, it's a matter of quantum mechanics. Children in the 1980s were almost as gullible as adults are today. So for the next weeks, we had Beetlestone mania. The campers played Beetlestone tag, Beetlestone battle ball, and we organized the first annual L.C. Beetlestone Memorial Frisbee Golf Tournament. The culmination of the camp season is the camp overnight. All the campers bring their sleeping bags and tents to stay all night. And at 11 o'clock, I tell a campfire story that could have been titled, "Beetlestone is going to get you no matter what." At midnight, we had an exorcism at the Beetlestone gravesite. And then at 1 a.m., to kind of lighten the mood, on the basketball court, we had a midnight disco dance. 4 minutes into the disco dance, a voice that sounds suspiciously like my voice says, "We interrupt this recording to bring you disturbing news. L.C. Beetlestone, the famous murderer, has escaped from the Hackensack jail. He was last seen headed toward Olson Park in Bogota. He was wearing a polka dot bikini." Now, the polka dot bikini was supposed to reveal that everything was a hoax just done in fun. But by the time the recording got to the polka dot bikini, there were so many screams that nobody knew anything about the screamwear. The camp descended into end of the world apocalypse chaos. At 2 a.m., all 92 of the campers lined up at the camp office to phone their mommies and daddies. When the parents arrive, about half of them tell me, "You should be fired." The other half glare at me as if to say, "You should be fired." But the last parent to arrive is Mrs. Kenny. And Chris Kenny, her son, who was 12 years old, was very dull and depressed. But Beetlestone had ignited his imagination. He became the chief reporter for the camp newspaper's Beetlestone Bureau. That summer, Chris had blossomed. So Mrs. Kenny gets out of the car, she hugs Chris, she comes over to me and says something that I'll never forget. You should be fired. Thank you.
All right, keep it going for Paul Bob. And I imagine that you were fired. Wow, let's give it up for all of our storytellers tonight. You've been a fantastic audience. We're going to welcome our judges to head upstairs to deliberate. We'll throw on some music. Please do meet a storyteller, engage with somebody, and of course, get some inspiration from Paul and mess with some children this Halloween season, huh? All right, we'll see you in about 10 minutes. Thanks, everybody. Bar's open. All right, everyone, our judges are headed back downstairs. If you can find your seats. And for our storyteller, just to give you a frame of how this will flow, our judges will announce the prizes. We'd like to get pictures with all of our winners. We'll also do a group picture with the winners and the judges. And then we'll get one picture of all of our storytellers just to commemorate this wonderful evening. You've been a fantastic audience. Let's give it up for ourselves one more time. It is a challenge, but there are wood blocks next to some of you. And so if you want to drum roll, when they start to announce, you are welcome to, but no pressure, because I know I have hands at times. Anybody from Montclair? Hey, Montclair. We're vamping. If you don't know what vamping is, I'm going to explain it to you right now. This is when you fill time because the thing that happens next is not ready. So, what do you do for work? No, we're not going to do that. All right, quick show of hands. Who is going to another event during the Montclair Film Festival? All right. Who's first time here? Well, let's get those hands one more time. First time seeing anything with Montclair Film? All right. Well, welcome to the festival. Please come back. If you haven't checked us out online, we offer tons of classes for teenagers, adults. We have smaller workshops. We have long duration classes. We have improv classes. We have comedy. We have writing classes. We have a storytelling class that I teach. But we would love to see you come join our community and do some extra things here with us. So if you have any questions, you can come check in with myself, Ryan at the bar, even Jen at the end, and we'll make sure to give you all the information that you need. But montclairfilm.org. Please make a comment. Yes, was not a literal burn down, yes. He wrote his bio. Give him some scathing feedback afterwards. Pulled on the heartstrings with the Bellevue. So glad it's back. Let's give it to the Bellevue. And the judges will be here in 3, in 2, in 1, I'm very close, in a half a count. Suspense is good though, right? Want to hear a Halloween joke? I do not know any. That's the joke. All right, our judges will introduce our prizes. Let's give it up for our judges one more time. Come on down.
Just go and do it.
Well, this is the scary part. Wow, thank you so much to all the storytellers. This is what we live for. This is what really keeps us going. I'm going to announce our third place winner. I asked to introduce the storyteller because they allowed me to visit a childhood memory that was very frightening to me, and that would be dealing with Ouija boards. Aaron Drill.
All right, come on down, Aaron. Congratulations, Aaron.
Very nice.
And you get some Montclair Film swag.
Picture.
Gloria, give him the bag.
Oh, the bag is for him?
Oh, sorry, Gloria. All right. One more picture with the bag
Just one more
there.
pictures.
Sorry.
Perfect.
All right.
All right, give it up for Aaron.
All right, Aaron.
Aaron, if you'll just step down here. This way, towards me, towards the light. All right, our second place, drum roll, if you would like.
Thank you, everyone, first for coming out and supporting all these great artists. So thank you. This was a project that I could see so much of a development in the future of. It takes you through generational horror. It's got horror. It's got humor. It's just something that you hope to see in a horror feature film could be. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of second place is Mr. Paul Body.
All right, give it up for Paul Body. Congrats, Paul. Thanks, Jay. Paul, turn that bag around for us.
That one around, young man.
You got it. All right, congrats on second place.
Congratulations.
All right, our first place prize is coming up. Drum roll,
Hello.
please.
Ooh, drum roll. Real drum rolls. This is terrifying. This one, oh, sorry. Got the logo in the right place.
Hit the mark.
Yes,
You got it.
Fantastic. First of all, I just want to say how amazing all these storytellers were. I was so impressed. I don't want to embarrass you. I don't want to blow up your spot, but I saw this little girl panicked and scared. I think that is very impressive. This one really was incredibly evocative. The imagery was amazing. It was funny. It was scary. It had some images that are going to stick with me. It had a banger of an ending. It had props. Our winner is Farah Abdurrahman.
All right, Farah, come on down.
I messed it up. Abdurrahman. Sorry.
Give it up for Gidget.
Wait, take it. Hold it right.
Congrats, Farah. First time storyteller. All right, if we can get all of our storytelling winners to come up and we'll take one more photo with our judges, please. Come on down, judges. All right, we'll do our winners first, and then we're going to do, just one second, Bob. We'll do our winners, and then we're going to get a whole group photo with everybody who participated tonight. Perfect, thank you. All right, let's give it up one more time for our winners tonight. And let's get the rest of our storytellers to join. Thank you for participating. This is a great evening. We'll probably have to get a little cozy up there. Squeeze them in. Thank you so much. Everybody stare. All right, we got it. One more round of applause. Thank you so much for a great evening of stories. We appreciate you. Again, check us out, montclairfilm.org, for classes, events. Go see a film, see something at the festival. Get home safe, and happy Halloween.